Hall of Fame columnist Sean McClain with us most every Tuesday at about 5:30. Joins us on 365 Sports. Craig and Paul, David Smoke. John, thank you very much for your time. There was, and I didn't watch a lot of the preseason. I watched, it kind of was on in the background, so to speak. But was there some sort of everyone trying to make something out of Stefon Diggs and C.J. Stroud on the sideline?
Oh, yeah. That's happened 2 times where Diggs has been involved in something, and the national media has killed him, saying, and fans too on social media, none of them had a clue about what was going on. When Stroud and Diggs wasn't even on the field, Diggs was talking to Stroud about routes and things like that on the sideline, and Stroud was standing there listening to him because that's what they do at practice and in games. And people were like, Diggs being Diggs. The other time there was a fight at practice, and Diggs reached in and pulled the guy off, and everybody's acting like he started it. But he made that bed, and he has to sleep in it. And the Texans love everything about Stefon Diggs right now, but of course so did Minnesota and so did Buffalo when he first arrived.
John, preseason across, the NFL is underway. Teams have been playing games. What do you look for in the preseason? What are your indicators of this is something that you should pay attention to? Because it is a very difficult resource to quantify how important certain things are because every team does it differently.
Paul, is my 48th preseason, and the first thing I look at are injuries and hope nobody gets hurt. There we got J.J. McCarthy from Minnesota getting a scope on his knee, and it could be something that keeps him out for a year, could be something that keeps him out for a few weeks. And he wasn't going to start right away anyway. And as long as he's there learning, watching and learning, that won't be much of a setback for him. But you hate to see that. And, of course, of all the contract controversy, I know you guys are sick of it because you're in cowboy country, but I'm tired of hearing about Dak Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of hearing about CeeDee Lamb, tired of hearing about Brandon Ayuk, and now Hassan Reddick. Just get on with it. The season starts and the big checks start. Usually that's when guys report, and I expect these issues to be taken care of. And it's weird. I was just telling somebody the Texans have no controversy. And after having dealt with Bill O'Brien, who was always controversial, everything was negative here, even when he was winning 4 division titles and, 5 years, it was still controversial. Then Deshaun Watson, then Jack Easterby, and now it's smooth sailing, and you wonder what could happen. But and it's almost scary because you're looking around, okay, is something going to happen? That's one way that DeMeco Ryans runs his ship. It's a strict one, and he has a lot of veterans helping him provide leadership. So it's so much nicer than to have to deal with the Cowboys. I had a friend of mine who covers the Cowboys and is a big Cowboy fan, said they've never seen as much apathy in the Cowboys right now, going back to maybe the Dave Campo era. And I think it's probably fans are just tired of hearing about the contracts. They're tired of not doing anything in the off season, wondering who's going to be the running back. And there's a lot of questions, and they're not positive questions. And I think it's imperative that the Cowboys get off to a good start and get people back to thinking and talking about football and not all the issues that are swirling around the organization.
Paul, did he pretty much hit the bullseye right there?
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Like, get it done, don't get it done. Just tell. I don't need to see the whole movie. Just tell me the end. That's.
What just drives me crazy about those is they're going to sign for pretty much what everyone knows the number within $1 million. The guaranteed money might fluctuate a little bit, this and that, but it's all going to end up where they're going to end up. And it's like, I think Jerry loves being in the news and the headlines. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about it. They'll both side. It's going to be fine.
Has Jerry Jones ever lost a player over money? he really wanted to keep. I don't think so, and he's not going to lose this big three.
John, we talk about C.J. Stroud a lot, rightfully so. We ask you about Jalen Petrie a lot. I mean, I know it seems strange to ask you about a guy who's the defensive rookie of the year and Pro Bowler as a rookie, all-rookie team, everything else, but what's it been like to cover Will Anderson and just kind of watch him and hear about him doing his thing over the past year?
Craig, it's interesting that you asked about Anderson because there's a great story out on him by Tyler Dunn, who has a website called Go Long. And I think you can read the story once without having to getting the paywall. And he came down here and spent time with Anderson, and he's got a fascinating story about him when he was growing up to help him get to where he is today. And I was so impressed with it. Anderson is an upstanding guy, team leader, plays his butt off. He's everything you want in a player. And to help take pressure off of him, they let Jonathan Grenard go, their best pass rusher, and signed Danielle Hunter. Grenard went to Minnesota. Hunter came from Minnesota. So they think Danielle Hunter on the opposite side of Will Anderson Jr. will keep people from double teaming Anderson all the time. But Stroud gets all the attention, and it is weird. It's offensive and defensive rookies of the year, but Anderson, I guess it's because you don't get any sacks right now. You don't make any hard hits. He hadn't played in the preseason. Don't know if he will, but I can't wait to see him because he's already a really good player. And he's got a chance, Craig, to be a perennial double-digit sack guy.
John, with the change in the preseason, this is not the first year. There's not as many games. It's been that way. More games now in the regular season. Does it change now if there are the 3 games of how people get themselves prepped and ready for that game 1 in September?
Absolutely, David. There was a great thing yesterday. Bill Belichick was interviewed a long time by Pat McAfee. And Pat just kind of asked one question, and then Bill just took it and ran. It was about preseason games, practices, joint practices, and it was so good that McAfee didn't say a word. I've never seen Pat McAfee that quiet for that long because Belichick just took it over. And one of the things he talked about, it doesn't do any good to get a guy 5 or 6, 7 plays in a game. He said you want to have it in a joint practice where you can control everything. You can't control things. And when they go to 18 games and 2 preseason games, I would imagine teams are going to have joint practices with 2 teams. Now, what you can't have is these constant fights, and that's why the NFL has instituted fines. Belichick said he always told the officials that came to joint practices, and they started doing them when he was with the Giants under Parcells, is tell the officials treat it exactly like a regular season game. Kick them out. If you get them out. And I thought it was hilarious that somebody pointed out today that Rod Mayo has a philosophy in New England. If you are a starter and you get involved in a fight, you got to play the whole game. And then somebody wrote, well, that's Sean McVay's rule. Somebody else writes, oh, yeah, I don't remember Aaron Donald playing the rest of the game after he was swinging his helmet last year in the preseason. But things you look for in preseason mostly are new guys, like Kamari Lassiter, the Texans' top pick. They love the guy. He's been tremendous throughout the off-season program, but he's been banged up since preseason began. And he'll play when they play the Giants on Saturday. But I think you look at young guys, and then when you bring in free agents, you want to see how well they adapt to the system. But mostly you do it in camp, in practice, not in games.
John McClain with us, Hall of Fame columnist. Football season right around the corner. How many years now for you covering the NFL?
48 years.
48.
48.
Do you still get the juices flowing when it comes up to when the season's about to start?
It's like when I went to Crestview Elementary, Tennyson Junior High, and Richfield High School. every year I was so excited for the first day because I wanted to see who was in my class and who I sat next to. And that's the way I still feel about the start of the NFL season. I get excited for the start of the season and then the playoffs. I hadn't had a chance for a while for the playoffs. And maybe the Texans will bomb out and they'll go from first to worst like they went from worst to first. I don't think so, even though they play a much tougher schedule, but it's so much more fun here. People are really excited about the Texans. And while we were down on the Astros early in the season, the Astros are on a roll.
Yeah.
Too, so there's a lot of positivity down here about our professional sports teams. And, of course, the start of the NFL season signifies the start of the college season. And I can't wait for the start as well and to see if Baylor's going to be better in the newly aligned Big 12.
John, what was your favorite Olympic moment and why? And was it breakdancing?
No, Paul, it wasn't. I'm sure that was yours. Consider you used to be a break dancer extraordinaire. Mm-hmm. I bet your listeners didn't know that. Mm-hmm. There were several moments to me when the Australian woman won the gymnastics, and on the medal stand, Childs, who had her medal revoked, and Biles did that thing where they got down on their knees, and I don't even know how to describe it. And then Sydney McLaughlin running away from everybody when she got the baton on the 4x100. And I'm a sucker for anybody standing on the stand, on the podium, crying when their national anthems played. And I'm thinking Scotty Scheffler, who's made millions and millions and millions this year, and may make millions more with the money that's about to be paid out, staying up there and crying for a guy like that. It just shows you how much it means to all of them. And then the great basketball games. I thought the Olympics were fantastic. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched a lot of it. I always hated the end. I thought the closing ceremony was terrible in Paris. I thought it was just, they did an awful job. And I still think, didn't you get somebody besides Dr. Dre to come out and grab his package? He's a little old for that. And couldn't you get somebody? I know Billie Eilish is popular, and having Flea dancing around in a skirt with his shirt off, couldn't they get somebody better than them, considering they're going to Hollywood? A lot of people didn't like the Tom Cruise thing, but I'm thinking, geez, at his age, doing the things he does, my God, and there's not a bigger star right now than Tom Cruise. And what I worry about L.A., they're going to make it so much about the stars and the celebrities, less about the athletes, and I hope that doesn't happen. But the games at Paris, I thought were the best I've ever seen, but I just didn't like the closing ceremony.
The Olympic men's basketball gold medal game, I think, received what might have been nearly 30 million viewers.
And the women were on early in the morning, and the women had extraordinary viewership. People said, well, if Caitlin Clark, give me a break. Clark would have been on the bench, and she wouldn't even got in a couple of those games because they were so close. Now, she'll be in probably the next 4 or 5 Olympics. In fact, Diana Taurasi's won 6 gold medals is just amazing, and how much pride they take in representing their country. I wish they were going on another, at least till the football season starts.
Yeah, another week of it. And I watched a bunch, especially the track and field, and eventually just, you mentioned McLaughlin, the 4x100 men. They just, golly, it's like it's just throw up on yourself after another. And all the relay teams did great, but that one can't get out of its own way.
And the 4x4, same thing.
Yeah, no.
Having Tara Lipinski,
the men are the 4x2.
And Johnny Weir involved in the closing ceremonies. They're Winter Olympic people.
Yeah.
They were terrible. Jimmy Fallon was terrible. So, I got to sit next to Mick Jagger and stay with the French president. And I understand it's because of the NBC promotion, but Mike Tirico was fabulous. But the NBC was embarrassed with the people they put on that last day other than Tirico.
John, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Second.
That's John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, with us on 365 Sports. I'll say this. I remember